Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Nasco from Ashford Cedardale, the construction manager for Salford Investments. So I'm here on behalf of Salford Investments to answer anybody's questions or concerns with the agreement that was sent out to all the tenants exactly 14 days from today. So today is the final day to have the agreement signed, to be able to account for the benefit and to be able to take advantage of that agreement, considering all the work that is going on site. So yeah, we're here to answer any and all questions that you may have regarding the agreement before signing it. Again, this isn't necessarily here to negotiate or to change anything, but more of a clarification meeting, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody's comfortable with it. Again, negotiations was done at a past point with the tenant council at 33 Isabella. So the tenant association has agreed to this before it went out. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, any concerns, they can refer to the particular section and the particular item and what their concern is. And I will do my best to answer at the same time. But if there is something that for whatever reason I cannot provide you an update on or clarification, I will definitely note it down and we'll note down your name and the management will get back to you on that.
I have a few questions.
Okay.
First of all, why isn't Salford representing themselves here?
Back there, could you please mute yourself as we can hear you?
Sure.
Sorry, Wade. There was a bit of a.
Yeah.
There were two people talking over each other. Could you please repeat your question?
Yeah, I have a few questions. So first of all, I'm just wondering why Salford isn't here themselves. Why is the construction company here to represent them?
We're not the construction company. We're the construction manager. So we're part of the management team. And also Tanya is here on behalf of 33 Isabella. And we also have Madonna John here on behalf
Perfect.
of Salford Investments. So they are
Excellent.
participating in this conversation.
Okay, so
And
that
they
covers that then.
can,
So they are here then. It is
yes,
you're just leading the call then.
correct.
Okay,
That is
perfect.
correct.
Thank you
They are
for
all
that.
here.
Perfect.
No problem.
So it's actually good that you brought up Madonna because I was actually just recently given a notice by Madonna stating that my response to our initial meeting back in June represented substantial interference. How do you justify her response and her bewildering response? She can
To
go
be,
ahead.
to be,
She can go ahead.
yeah. Madonna, are you on the call? And wait, just so you know, we're here to focus on the agreement
Oh
itself.
yeah, it's
Just
all
because,
tied in. Don't worry, we'll get to
yeah.
that.
Madonna, are you on the call?
Hmm.
So wait, I think Madonna is maybe having
Okay,
some trouble.
we'll go to the next one then. Maybe you can call. Maybe Tanya can. Maybe if they're all there, you can call her into the office or something. That would be cool. But
Yeah.
we can go on to the next one then. That's cool. When will the garbage chute return to service, and how can we arrange pickup in the meantime?
So the garbage chute is currently being tied up by the garage work. Again, the garage work being an
I
existing
understand. I
condition,
understand. I'm just
it
looking
is
for a date.
difficult to do. I cannot provide you with an exact date. However, it's going to be within the first quarter of 2022. So it's going to be
Okay.
at least another three to 4 months.
3 to 4 months of no garbage. Okay, so how can we arrange garbage pickup in the meantime then? And would that be by
I
calling down to Tanya or?
well, listen, the garbage pickup can be arranged for a select few who are needy and they have trouble getting to the garbage chute and
I
so on.
am
But that's going
actually,
to be
yeah.
on
I am.
per
I'm having some
case.
trouble right now because I haven't been really able to leave my apartment, as most people on the Tenants Association know, and as your videos will show, as you're so happy to call out. So I haven't been able to leave. So I would appreciate some service in that respect. So could I the select few that you're offering this to, is there a qualification then, or?
I will have to discuss this further with the management. This is one of the things that I will have to get back to. I cannot make any
Okay.
promises at this
Okay,
time
perfect.
regarding this.
Okay, so we can move on then. That covers some of that. In
Okay.
regards to this contract here, our legal representation through the Tenants Association has advised us he cannot and does not recommend tenants sign the agreement for a multitude of reasons, including circular wording, broad or indefinite terms, gag clauses, and even giving our rights up under the Residential Tenancy Acts. How can you ask someone to give up their rights?
So we have not, I mean, we did receive some legal feedback before this agreement was sent back to you. A lot of the comments that we received directly from the tenant association were addressed. I believe
This was actually in
seven.
follow-up. This was this is the revision of the final version. So this is our
Okay.
feedback from the final version that you sent out to tenants.
Okay. Well, the final version is exactly what was discussed prior to that. There is no changes other
I'm
than the
not looking for
comments.
changes. I'm asking for you. How do you ask someone to give up their rights?
Are you able to get back to me with something in particular rather than a
These,
broad
if you'd
question?
like, I can. But I mean, you're asking for cyclical wording. This is what our lawyer has said to us. Circular
Okay.
wording, indefinite terms, gag clauses. I mean, gag clauses,
Mhm.
really. Come on, just give. You could have made this easy and just given us the 3 months, and everyone would have been happy. You wouldn't have had to go to lawyers or spend all this money back and forth. I mean,
Okay.
people would have been a lot more, I think, receptive to you guys coming in and doing renovations if you had just said, "Look, guys, we're going to come at you with 3 months. We know it's tough," but instead you've added all these weird clauses into there that have just really seem unnecessary. Why is that?
Well, wait, to be completely honest with you, we have not received your lawyer's feedback. If you're able to send the desk, personally, I have not reviewed it, so I'm not
You
sure
personally
exactly
have,
what you're
okay,
referring to.
okay.
Has that been sent to the management?
I would have to talk with Janice about that. I'm not sure, but this is the feedback I have received from them and that we've all
Okay.
received from them. So it's very concerning. So since there's not really an answer on that, could we get back to Madonna by chance, please?
Yeah. Has well, actually, wait, before we get to Madonna, I still wanted to just get back to the agreement and just let you know that the agreement is made to be beneficial in both ways. So in
It's
order
really
for
not. It's worded in ways that are meant to be very vague and gray, and I think that's really it's really detrimental to our relationships. So,
as I said,
I'd like
if
to go
you're
back
able
to my
to
first
provide me
question though.
feedback,
Yeah, I'd really
yeah,
like to get back to my first question though, because I don't want to delay this here.
okay.
If you want me to go into great detail, I can certainly read this out here. Let's go with item 6 is important because it is stating that the tenant gives up any rights under the Residential Tenancy Acts. There's one for you. Item 6.
Item 6, okay. So you're referring
Given the
to in
generalness and
consideration
given the
of,
generalness and vagueness of the inconvenience and impact referenced and the compensation agreed to, it would be reasonable to assume that more serious claims resulting from injury or significant loss were intended to be excluded from this agreement. However, clearly they are not. The tenant will be foregoing any and all rights, not only under the Residential Tenancy Acts, but in any legal form. And I don't believe that this agreement can be construed as being a violation of the principle that the parties cannot contract out of the residential agreements. So, that being said,
so you're looking at page 1, item 6.
sure.
Okay. So this clause is in regards to the current work going on site and the future work planned. So the work and the way the agreement is worded is to make sure that everything is done within our legal right and there is no complaints in that regard. So when
So
they're
you're
saying
looking
that,
to eliminate complaints then, is what you're saying.
beyond what is reasonable and what is legal. So the work is going to be performed within legal work hours. It's going to be performed within the noise bylaws. It's going to be performed with permits. It's going to be performed with inspections and so on. And unless those laws and those requirements are being broken, then yes, this is what that agreement refers to. So anything that you believe is illegal,
I'm not saying
and
illegal. It's saying that you're asking us to give up our rights, which you can do. You're more than welcome to ask us to give up our rights, and we can sign away our rights. But why are you asking us to do that? That just seems absurd. There should be no
be,
legal reason for you to have to do that unless you're doing something sketchy.
we've clearly defined what the work is planned for the future, what the
The
owner.
definition of work is in paragraph 3 is circular because it says the other work is related to the
Wait,
work.
I'm unable to address your question if you interrupt me halfway through every
Well, you're
sentence.
talking
So
about 7. We're talking about the work. So we want to get to the work. The work is broad. It's not defined.
how much more concise should it be? It
A
refers to
date.
the
It needs
project,
dates. Exact dates, and it shouldn't say from the beginning of my residential tenancy. I remember you guys had to change that out as well, right?
and that has been changed.
But why would that
However,
even be added in the first place?
we have our legal
Who
counsel.
is your
They have
legal
written.
counsel?
I can provide you that at a
That
later
would be
time. We
great.
have
I
a
would like to know who this lawyer is, if they're actually a
we
lawyer.
we advised your tenants board that they can that your lawyer can
I don't
contact
need to
them.
talk to them though. I can represent myself as well. You don't need to go all through them. I can talk like I am right here.
Okay, well, unfortunately I cannot go beyond this, to be completely honest with you. I'm not sure how I can provide you further feedback, since I'm being interrupted consistently and cannot really address any of your comments properly, as again, as soon as I refer to something, it's just insufficient and it's referred back to anything else. So as I mentioned earlier, this is just to keep to clarify items, again, arguing about clauses and so on. This is what our legal counsel has advised. This is
But
what
you're asking me to
was.
clarify, sir, and that's what I'm not trying to interrupt you again here, but this is what you've asked us here for, so this is what I'm coming forward with.
Yes.
You're saying that you can't respond on these. It's kind of confusing.
Well, I'm advising you based on the previous experience that we've had in the building, including with the window replacement and so on, and the delays that have been caused by tenant interruptions, tenant not allowing people into their units, tenants having constant complaints, although the work was done legally and within all our legal rights as
What are those
far as
constant
noise.
complaints you're referring to? Because I think that, George kind of came here with us before and asked for specifics, and I think it's fair that we ask for specifics as well.
There's an extensive list that was provided by the tenants counselors, and there's a lot of back and forth, which Tanya can also confirm with, of complaints, people refusing to let people in, and so on. So in order for the owner to give the compensation that they're giving, which we believe is quite generous, and a lot of the enforcement, including the counselor, the MPP, the building department, our legal department, everybody has agreed that this is a very generous compensation. They would like to make sure that for the future, the work proceeds as per schedule, and we do not have to deal with a similar situation as we did with the windows, where there had to be taken a lot of precautions going back and forth in between units, in between floors, because we try to accommodate everybody. So this
You're
is
in
the
an
reason
active
for
building.
the
You have to
agreement.
accommodate people, right? That is expected.
Of course, and to a reasonable extent, we always have. However, we just want to make sure that the work can proceed. And a lot
To
of the
that
rest of the
extent, though,
work,
I mean,
as this
but to that, like you're
as
saying, with it being done legally, I just want to say that, not necessarily. You're renovating units with the doors open on my floor. Many times, the landlord have to come up and ask you to close it, and you could say, "Oh, we were moving stuff in and out," but you don't need a wedge in the door when nothing's going in and out of those places. So it's it's a little frustrating to hear that everything is going perfectly when, all the dust is blowing into my unit on this side of the place.
Unfortunately, with construction, they will sometimes be issue, but I believe based on the comments that we have had and the multiple meetings with the tenants, we have been able to resolve a lot of those as far as who has keys, their security on site. The superintendents are through constant contact with the trades, ensuring the doors are open, ensuring that the correct units are being answered. And a lot of those complaints were in the past being done towards empty units. So units that were empty and unoccupied, that's why the doors were left open.
All right, so those were actually being
So,
renovated while I was there, but that's okay because that's fine. So I guess
okay.
we can move on to the last thing before we get to Madonna, whenever she gets on here. In the what circumstances is it okay for you not to tell tenants it's a false alarm?
Sorry, wait, I think you got muted there for
Yeah, I got muted. Sorry.
no
And
problem.
I just want,
Wait, just before you begin with this question, can we make sure that, this is your last question because there's another
yeah,
20
yeah.
people on
I'm
here.
sure, I'm
I just
sure.
want to
It's just that I've
make
asked
sure
all of
that,
these things before and I've reached out and I haven't got responses on them. So this is my opportunity. And because you're on the hot seat right now with in front of 20 other people, as you say, I'm going to have to
yep.
put these out there and get them out because no one else is responding.
No,
Um,
and you have the right to do so.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I apologize for cutting you off there. It's not. It's just general frustration that I'm not talking to Salford. I'm talking to a construction representative that works with them.
Yes,
These are really questions that they should be answering with your assistance.
yes.
But yeah. Anyways, so I want to know.
As I said, they're on the call.
Yeah, that's good. Hopefully Madonna's here now too. In what circumstances is it okay, not okay, or sorry, in what circumstances is it not okay to tell tenants that there is a false alarm?
Can you
Okay,
refer?
in what circumstances would you tell tenants that there is a false alarm or of a fire in the building? Lately, the fire alarm has been going off frequently, and then it just shuts off, and we don't know if it's a false alarm or if maybe perhaps the fire panel has melted, because that has happened. And wires have burned and we lose our connection. And we're not being told of false alarms. And this is very concerning.
I can follow up with the building, and Madonna has joined us. But typically, if it is a false alarm, it should be announced as so.
Really?
Uh,
Because I asked
Tanya,
Randy about
correct
that, and
me.
he said no, they don't do that anymore. But we're supposed to assume that it's a false alarm if it's up until 6 p.m. I have a recorded phone call with him saying
Yeah.
that, which is scary.
So I think Madonna and Tanya can better answer that question as it is pertaining to the building and to past experiences. I'm here to speak more about the construction and more about the agreement. And a lot of this is going off
Yeah, the
in
construction
something
is.
that I cannot
I see
necessarily
what you're
answer.
saying. Like the construction and the fire alarm are related, right? Because the construction is setting off the fire alarm. And so how do we fix this? Can,
It's a
can we get Tanya to respond maybe and we get the other person on the phone to mute themselves? That'd be great.
yes, if it's a false alarm, it should be someone should go on the PA system and say sorry about that. It's a false alarm. It's not a real fire. You could stay in your unit, right? If it's a
Hasn't
real
happened.
fire department will make the announcement and tell you exactly what they want you to do. Depends on the situation.
Then I think you need to have a conversation with the superintendents because they've taken to the policy now of not announcing any fire alarms if they go off up until 6 o'clock,
Okay,
which
so
is
that one we
scary.
could work on. Yeah, that one we could work on. We could have a meeting with the guys and we could work that out.
Okay. And thank you for joining because I actually had a question for you directly. For just recently, I was given a notice from you, Madonna. My name's Wade, by the way. You were given a notice that when I sent uh, a response to the initial meeting in June, you said this represented substantial interference with the construction, and I'm curious how I'm interfering by responding to an offer that George had put out there. It seems really, really bewildering to me.
And which offer are we talking about? Just to clarify things.
This was the offer to not have the construction in my apartment. George offered that back in June to anyone that was on the phone call. So I sent an email with follow-up saying, I would like to, I mean, I can read the email here for you, but I don't think it's necessary because you sent me a letter back in back of September 8th, I believe.
Yeah.
So I find it really concerning that you're sending these and then, back in August, 4 months before that, you again offered me to not have the construction in my unit. So this is two people from Salford that have offered me not to have the construction in my unit. And then I get a letter from you saying that I'm interfering with construction in my unit. I've already agreed not to have the construction with you. So I'm confused.
Yes, so they give people the option because, okay, Salford don't want to make anybody feel like, okay, it's a forced decision. So yes, you said you didn't want it and they accepted that. But legally, they have to write you to let you know, okay, you haven't accepted now, but in the future, if for some reason you change your mind or whatever, they have to just let you know what the legality is. But that letter was not, you weren't the only person. Anyone who had made that choice, which you had the right to make the choice if you want, that option was there, right?
Okay, let me read the letter back to you, Madonna, then, because I think there is some confusion here. It says, Dear Mr.
So
Hastings,
wait,
as you know, we are
I'm
nearing
sorry,
the
I'm
end
gonna
of
have to interrupt you,
this
but it
constitutes
has been over.
I
Sorry, I'm
appreciate
very
that.
sorry.
But so
I
Madonna
believe
just
that should
joined
be
the call. This
dealt
is not fair to cut me off. Madonna just got in. This was my very first question.
out of about 10 questions. So I feel like everybody
That's
else is
that's
just
fair, and I'm sure a
disrespectful
lot
on
of people
everybody
have. I'm
else's
sure we
part.
covered a lot of other people's questions with mine. If I did, please let me know because I would
If we
appreciate it.
have time at the end, maybe we can get
This
back
is not
to this.
fair. You're cutting me off, man. You said I had a right to do this, and this is my last question, and we're out of here. I'm done after this. Please
Okay,
don't
it
cut me
seems to
off. I
be
don't appreciate it.
seems to be turning into an argument. This
It's
is
not an
why I think
argument
it's very
because she's
unproductive.
misrepresenting the facts.
Okay.
She says in her letter on June 18th, you sent a letter that stated, I am writing to let you know that I do not want the window upgrades. She then continues, this constitutes substantial interference with the landlord's right to carry out necessary work in the building. This letter serves that if you again obstruct entry by the contractor after being given notice to enter your apartment, the landlord will have no alternative but to serve you with a notice to terminate your tenancy. That doesn't sound like the same thing she just said. So please, Madonna, justify that for me.
As Nasco say, we would have to deal with that one separate differently. I understand how you feel
want it
about
dealt with in public because I've asked to be dealt with this. I responded to you back at the beginning of September, and you haven't responded to me since. This is all tied into the construction.
So wait, I think what
Please
Madonna
let
is
her
trying to say,
respond.
this is
Please let her
a
respond.
buffer, and she's unable to give you an answer because it's above her level right now, and
It's
they will
not,
have
it's
to
her.
look
This
at
is
it.
her response. I want to talk to her, and you're cutting her off.
Wait, what Nasco is saying is the fact. Yes, the letter came from me, but remember, I'm an employee, right? I am not the owner of Salford, right? I am a representative of Salford. So yes, the letter was written, but then there's a lot of legalities which is beyond my control.
So why haven't you responded to my email then?
Sorry,
Why haven't you responded to my email then? I've waited 3 weeks. I don't think that's reasonable.
Okay, I'll have to, if I did, yes, I am wrong in not replying, but to my best of my knowledge, all of your emails you sent.
I responded to that last letter of yours and I never heard anything back from you.
Okay, so that I could double check and I will be happy to reply. I know I was on vacation. I came back last week. I don't know if that was sent within that time, but I'll double check and check over all of my emails. And if there's one that I didn't reply to, I would definitely reply to it and try to answer most of your questions to the best of my knowledge.
Great.
Okay, wait, so we will get back to you on that by the end of the week. Hopefully we will get back to you that and go from there.
Can I get all of your responses to that though? Like for the fire alarm and everything, you'll push that all through?
Correct. We can discuss that and get back to you on that.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time, and I apologize for taking up so much of it.
No problem. Have a good night. Wait.
I'll stay here and wait. Don't worry.
Okay.
I want to hear everybody else's intro. Thank you.
So does anybody have any questions? Again, we're trying to discuss more the construction currently on site, the future construction as far as it pertains to the legal agreement that we have sent to all tenants. So if anybody has any questions that have not been answered by the conversation that has gone on for the past a little over 20 minutes, please go ahead.
Hello, this is Sid here. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. The system is when somebody raises their hand, you can see it on the person's screen. That means they're waiting to ask a question. So
I can, unfortunately, Sid, the issue is that it doesn't come up in order. So I'm not sure who raised their hand first, second, third, fifth. So I can definitely do that. Currently, you're the only one that has their hand up.
yeah,
And again, if there's multiple people, I cannot, so I do not want to make, make a mistake of picking somebody and saying, oh, I raised it first and so on.
okay. Well, anyway, that's a small point. It's just the system is when someone puts their hands up, we go in order. But anyway, let's get to the question.
Yep.
First of all, thank you for organizing this meeting. Now, the thing is, Wade is expressing what a lot of other tenants are also experiencing. And we as a tenant association have actually talked to quite a few tenants and they have expressed similar things like Wade, and a number of them have moved out. And unfortunately, they didn't communicate to you directly because it's very difficult to communicate to you. And the management often will not respond, and they will not answer people's questions. And so this is why the tenant association has been created, because of this kind of miscommunication and frustration. So my issue here is that I strongly believe, as you get older and more mature, we want to create a win-win situation. We want to help Cromwell achieve their objectives as long as the tenants' issues are respected. Right now, we are not feeling that tenant issues are being properly addressed or respected, and this is why the friction is coming up. The contract that you have given us also shows that you are working as a win-lose situation. And our lawyer, who's highly experienced, who's been 20 years as a reputable lawyer, has given us a clear explanation in detail. And I hope you've had a chance to look that over. And it shows point by point where this is the contract you have given us is not really looking after the tenants. See, we want to create a win-win situation with you, but you have to help us get what we want. You're giving us, so anyway, I'll get to the question so other people can also ask questions. My basic issue is this: we're kind of in a situation where we are kind of forced to sign something we really don't want to do, because we know a lot of our rights are going to be taken away. My question though to you is this: if we sign this contract and later on down the road, we feel that, the construction is really creating problems for us and we have to now violate what the contract is, my understanding is that the only thing that you can really do is stop our compensation. And then we will be able to, once you have stopped our compensation, we can now go back to the drawing board and do things that we have to do in order to have our needs met. Is that correct? Is there anything else that you can do beyond withdrawing the compensation?
Legally, I will have to speak with our legal team to answer that question. Again, this agreement is not put into place to have any kind of, like, the owner does not necessarily want anything beyond to complete the work that he has planned in the building, which every single person on this call and in the building will benefit from. And it is a requirement for him to make these upgrades to the building. So it is requirement by the, sorry, it's escaping my mind, by the tenants board to make certain renovation. Everything has a certain lifespan, and he is required to make these renovations. However, the longer they go, he is taking on a huge liability as he signs certain contracts, and he cannot stop the trades from working. And if he has to stop because of certain tenants' complaints, it is very difficult, and it puts him in a very difficult situation. This is why the agreement is written in the way it is, in order to make sure that the work proceeds. And please keep in mind that from the work that's being described in the agreement as the work, the only one that will require access into people's units is the window replacement, which has, as of this point, been complete. The window installers have left the site, and it is no longer proceeding. All the remaining work, which is described in section 7 as the work, is outside of tenants' units. And going back to Wade's point that he said earlier, you're very broad and you're not providing us any dates. Unfortunately, we are in a situation where a lot of the items for this work are still in the permit stage, and they are subject to the city's issuance of permits. As mentioned earlier, all the work is being done legally with permits, with engineering inspections, with city inspections, and so on, which is why it's so difficult to provide you better dates, because once our plans, permits, and engineering reports go into a city, they have to go through a review process, which, depending on the project, depending on the how busy everybody is, they can take months, weeks, months, or even years in the case for the new building, which is why we're unable to provide you a date. We can provide you tentatively how long the work will take. However, when it starts, it's all up to the city and when our permits are released. Because again, we cannot start the work unless the city has given us the legal right to do so. So again, this is all that the owner is trying to focus with this legal agreement, and I will try to get back to you. And I think that your lawyer, you said you're speaking with a very experienced lawyer, can tell you what the potential repercussions can be other than taking away the rent. Because to be honest with you, I do not want to mislead you, and it's best that your lawyer that has provided you feedback on this agreement provide you with that advice as it pertains to you in particular.
Okay, well, due to the unfortunate time constraints that we're all subjected to, a lot of the people in the building are kind of pressurized to sign the contract. So probably you'll be having a lot of people signing the contract. But in the end, the principle of good faith is what we are trying to work with on you. And what we want, like, we're kind of handing over our power to you, but we're hoping that you will be acting on good faith with that power that you get, and that you will be addressing a lot more tenant issues have not been dealt with, and they are going to continue to be happening, especially with the building. We're giving you the good faith that you will responsibly do the work and get us on your side. That is what we want to do. We want to be on your side, right? And just a few minor things you need to do. You need to communicate better. Your staff has to be more friendly and reasonable in dealing, and not be bullying, like the reputation that they have. They've been like bullying tenants and not answering questions. They need to change and be more hospitable and deal with people's issues. If you do not act on good faith, you need to let your management know that we do have recourses that we can take, and we can simply get our compensation that you gave us, taken away, but we will have our initial rights again. So it's to your advantage that you responsibly take this good faith of power that you have, and that you deal with it in a responsible way. That's all I need to say. And if you could address that to the higher powers, it would be really good. Okay. Thank you.
Well, Sid, I very much appreciate the respectful manner in which you're representing all your concerns. It is, I think it's very productive. So on that end, and to expand on your concerns, there is definitely no hostility in the part of management. I can tell you that 100%. If there has been any inappropriate behavior, any rudeness or anything else, the owner has promised time and time again. They have provided their personal contact information. They have provided an email that goes directly to the owner.
Okay,
And they have said on multiple occasions that if there is any particular instances, and they have said that multiple times, if you can describe who, where, when, and describe to the best of your ability what occurred, they have advised that they will take care of it. And
okay,
yeah.
hold on, please now. I have sent Mr. Gantcheff 4 emails. The first one was in May. The second was in July. The third one was in August, and then I sent one 2 weeks ago about the same issue. He promised us, and it's recorded, that if we send him a personal email, he will respond to us personally.
Okay.
And I have sent him 4 emails, and since May, he has not gotten back. So it's not true that he will get back.
Okay.
And please let him know that. Please let him know that, if you don't mind, because it's recorded what he said, that he publicly came on and he said, here's my email. If any tenant has an issue, he will personally look into it, and he hasn't. So I'll be contacting now, someone in the management to let them, hopefully look after this matter. But I would appreciate if Mr. Gantcheff would stick to his word and get back to me. I would really appreciate that.
Okay.
And also, last thing, you are not aware of the people that we have talked to, because we have been doing tenant outreach, and we set up a table in front of the building. You are not aware of the amount of people that have come and talked to us about the complaints, and how many people have moved out of the building because of their complaints were not addressed. And getting the complaint addressed from your management has been very, very difficult. And that's why people have not been complaining. So please let Mr. Gantcheff know that I have sent him 4 emails. And if he could, I just sent him one another 2 weeks ago. If you could please get back to me about that, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, I will definitely look into that. One thing that I can tell you, and Janice AC is on the call, that I believe all emails that have come from the tenant association have been addressed, including issues the tenants have had. But I will have a look and see why that email has not been answered, and try and get you an answer one way or another. Maybe they feel that has been addressed with the tenant association, but I will look into this, and with Tanya's help, we'll try and get you an answer on that.
Great. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? There's no hands being raised. Okay, I see Vlad, Mr. Vlad is trying to say something. However, he's on mute. If you could unmute yourself, there should be an icon on the lower left of your screen with a little microphone that is red. If you can click on that, it will unmute you. Unfortunately, I cannot do it for you. Alternatively, you can type up your question in the chat bar. Yes, I can hear you.
My question is about the installation of the new heating units without controls. And we have asked about that for many times, but we have never even received a simple answer to explain the situation. So now that winter is coming, I have in my apartment a new heating unit that has no controls on it. That means to me, there's not going to be any heating in my apartment this winter. But nobody, the management has not even attempted to explain the situation or respond to it. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Vlad. I do not know the answer to your control issue of controlling the heat. One thing that I can guarantee you that as far as the legal agreement goes and everything that is written on it and how, any concerns that you may have, this does not stop you being entitled to any legal rights, such as water, heat, service, comfortable place to live, etc. So as I mentioned, I do not have the particular answer, but one thing that I can guarantee you that when the temperature drops above a certain temperature, as is required by the Tenancies Act, you will have sufficient heat to meet the Tenancies Act requirements. So I will have to talk to the management to answer the question regarding the controls, but I can guarantee you by signing this agreement or anything else, you will have sufficient heat and all of your rights as far as the Tenancies Act go are going to be met without an issue. So I hope that answers your question, and we'll try and get back to you regarding controls fairly shortly.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else from you, Vlad, or does that answer your question?
No.
Okay, thank you, Vlad. So Janice, I saw that Janice has her hand raised. If she would like to unmute herself and ask anything she would like.
I would just like to follow up on what Vlad said. There are two other people here on the call. I understand you said that both Madonna and Tanya are here, so maybe one of them can answer the question on heat. This is something we've asked for many, many times, and I think we need to insist on an answer from somebody if you can't answer for us. Thank you.
If they can, they're free to do so. And if not, as I said, I can get back to you, and in particular to Vlad and you, Janice, as well, regarding the controls. But again, I can 100% guarantee you that you will have sufficient heat as is required by law. Madonna or Tanya, are you able to address this by any chance?
I don't think I understood the question that he was asking. Is it that he has the heater in his unit, but he's saying that he's not feeling heat from the device? Is that the question? Is that the statement he was making?
That's correct. There is no heat coming from any of our units, and we have no control over them. There's no knobs to control anything.
Okay, so that I could have, I could have that looked at tomorrow, sometime this week, and see if it's an issue with the device having like the boiler isn't turned on, or there's some issue or something, and then I could get back to you with an answer.
Thank you.
Can I answer this question?
Yeah, Tanya is on the call. She can of course answer anytime.
Hello, everybody. If somebody have issue with their personal heater, please send email, and Randy Urdan or an electrician will come to check the heaters. The heat is on already. So if you don't have heat in the unit, that means they have to come and do some adjustment. Further notice will be sent by management explaining all this. There is a built-in thermostat in the heaters, but another device will follow to be installed in the unit, and then all this will be explained. I cannot tell you the date. That's why whoever asks Randy, Dan, or me, we explain. We need just announcement which units have issues. We personally are going to check, and you have the heat on, and to follow up the instruction on the device that will be installed in the unit and how it will work.
Okay, so Tanya, hopefully we can get back to everybody within a reasonable amount of time.
Your question?
Janice, does that answer your question?
Friday is reasonable, right?
We'll do our best. I don't want to promise, but we'll try to get back to you on all these
I mean,
questions
that's
before
only
Friday.
4 days to find out about our heat. That's a lot of time for you guys to look into it. I think that seems pretty reasonable.
I completely agree. It sounds reasonable. I do not want to promise you, but as far as Tanya said, as far as anybody who feels that they do not have heat in their unit, they should let management know, and it's going to be looked at right away. So it's not even going to be 4 days. But as far as exactly how the controls work, to be able to explain that, again, I don't want to promise because we'll have to get back to the electricians to advise further. But again, anybody who does not have heat or feels they do not have heat, they can let Tanya know, and the superintendents will be right up to your unit to check if there's any adjustment needed to the heaters. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Again, we can discuss the
There are no controls on the heating unit.
Okay.
There are no controls. There's only a heating unit without control. It's not connected to anything. There is no thermostat to control it. It's a fake unit at this point, and nothing can be done about it until you explain to us what the idea is about putting these heating units into our apartments when they don't work at all. Thank you.
Okay. As Tanya said, somebody will be over to your apartment tomorrow, and he can have a look at the unit to see why it is not working. It should be working. So they will have somebody over there.
It cannot work. There is no control on the heating unit. It's not connected to anything. You understand that?
Again, Dan or Randy are going to look into that issue. They have to be connected. They're designed to heat each apartment. They're properly sized to have a sufficient output of heat to be able to heat the apartment based on the size. So again, if there is any external issue, Dan and
Please stop giving me these answers. I'm saying there is no way my apartment can be heated with this installation, because the installation is simply a fake installation, it seems like. The units cannot be heated anyway from any of from my apartment, and I suppose not from any other apartment. So, and management we have asked about this many times and has never answered the fundamental technical questions about this. And now you just tell me somebody will tell us how to do it. You're not listening to what I'm saying. These units are useless. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Again, we'll look into, again, as I said, providing sufficient heat for each unit. You're not going to be left without heat during winter. So if there is something else wrong with your particular unit, it will be looked at. And again, if it's a faulty heater or anything is missing or hasn't been wired correctly, it will be looked at and corrected to make sure that that heater provides heat.
Nasko, can I say something?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, Vlad, Randy is next to me. Randy can come up right now. The heater is not fake. Randy just have to adjust the built-in thermostat.
I can do it now.
Randy is coming up now. Can you open the door for him?
Sure.
Okay, Randy.
Okay.
Go.
So he'll be there in a couple of minutes. Okay, so again, as far as the controls, we'll try and provide explanation to the full building as soon as possible. But again, any individual that has any issues with their heaters can always contact the management, and they will come and have them fixed as soon as possible.
And sorry, and Nasco, to anyone, say for example, worst case scenario, there's something wrong with the heater and with their unit, and Randy cannot fix it. say the same day or whatever, we would try and see if we could give them at least a temporary heater, you know, until we could solve the issue, because we not gonna leave a tenant for you know, a long period of time in a certain degree weather without any heat, right? So, you know, once they do a work order and we could get it fixed like Randy would do Val right now, we would. But if for some reason there's an issue which can't be fixed right away, we would try our best to, you know, to provide temporary heating for a tenant.
You don't understand. Randy cannot do anything, but I hope he will come and do it. But I don't believe he can do anything about this. Thank you.
Okay, Janice, you have your hand up again. Again, if anybody has any questions, they can put their hand up and proceed with asking their question.
Two things. One, as far as putting hands up, just to let people know who are on their phones rather than on an actual computer. In order to get those controls, you have to tap the screen. I think in many cases, people might not know how to do that. And you don't see the controls until you tap the center of the screen. So just letting people know that. And second, I'm just wondering.
Janice, sorry, just to add to that, if anybody else just cannot figure it out to ease, they can just unmute themselves, and whenever there's a pause, they can say that they do have a question, and we'll just get back to them as soon as the current question is answered. So do not feel like you know, if you have something to say, feel free to speak. Sorry, Janice, please continue.
No problem. The mute and unmute also doesn't show unless you tap the screen. So just to let people know that. I was having a little difficulty myself because I'm normally on my computer and this time I'm on my phone. Yeah. My question about the heaters is if once they are all turned on.
Yes.
Tell us what that temperature is.
Janice, can you, I did not hear the question. I think the connection, something happened to the connection. Can you repeat that again?
I'll try again.
Yep.
What is the temperature that you have established as the baseline for us?
What
Janice, I can barely...
What is the temperature at the baseline you set for us?
It is, I can't give you the number off the top of my head, but it is clearly described in the Ontario Residential Tenancies Act.
So
of what the minimum.
There's an adjustable part in it that someone could just take a screwdriver and adjust or something, or?
Typically, again, this is an electrical component. We do not want the tenants to be touching it. However, as Tanya mentioned and as Madonna mentioned, if you find that you have insufficient heat in your unit, you can talk to the superintendent and they can come and adjust it for you.
All right.
Okay, I guess we're just wondering whether everyone in the building is going to be required to have their unit at the same temperature, or whether there's going to be a little bit of flexibility, because some people prefer that their temperature be much lower and other people prefer it to be much higher. And if in fact it will end up saving management a considerable amount of money if they allow some form of adjustment, because otherwise people are going to be opening their windows to adjust their temperature and just driving up the costs.
Yeah, there's definitely an adjustment, which is what Randy is currently going to Vlad's unit to adjust. And also,
Okay.
Again, you have different facing units, which will require different amount of heat based on their orientation and how much sun they get and so on. So there is an adjustment.
Good, thank you.
Yep. Great. Is there anybody else that has any questions? They can feel free to unmute themselves and proceed with answering their questions. So we have a question in the message box from Mr. Stephen O'Keefe. So the question is as follows. I signed the agreement. However, Salford already has my rent checks for November 2021 and July 2022 rent credit months. Will these two checks be returned to me?
I can answer this question.
Okay, Tanya, go ahead.
For this month, head office will be sending to all the tenant statements, and whoever have posted checks will be sent back to them. They won't be used. If they're set up with pre-authorized payment, then this month will be free. They won't be charged for the months. They'll receive statements in advance.
Okay, Stephen, please let me know if that answers your question. If not, or if you have a follow-up question. But as far as I understand from Tanya, that is correct. Whoever has prepaid, those checks will not be used and they will be returned to the tenants. Does anybody else have any questions, any concerns regarding any ongoing work on site or anything on the agreement that you might want clarified and regarded in any way? Okay, well, if there are, okay, Janice has just raised her hand again. So Janice, please go ahead. Janice, you're on mute.
Okay. Sorry, I'm still juggling, trying to figure out how to do the controls more quickly.
Yeah, no problem. Janice, we can't hear you.
I wonder if this will help. Does that help?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. The non-disclosure clause is concerning a lot of people. It's not clear whether it is safe for tenants, whether they have signed or not signed the agreement, to discuss it after today. We understand we believe that the original intention of that was so that we wouldn't be going to the media, but the way it's phrased, it suggests that we cannot speak to anyone, including each other, and we'd like that clarified.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that was clarified in the past, and I believe you have an answer to that question in writing. But for all the 20 plus people that are on this call, that is correct. You can discuss it within each other, within other people who have signed the agreement, with other people who are part of the tenant association and are residents of the building. So again, if you feel that you need advice from your neighbors, if you feel that you need an advice from the management, Tanya has been very good with tenants, or with anybody else who has signed the agreement, including even the counselor who has been involved in reviewing the agreement and providing their feedback before it was sent to the full building and all the tenants. You can feel free to discuss it within yourself. Again, this clause is more in regards to third party and people outside of such as you said, media and so on. So, we don't want that, the agreement to be posted on Facebook and to be posted on wherever other sources. So feel free to discuss it within any tenant of the building as you see fit, as you need advice, or if there's anything you don't feel comfortable with.
Okay, so that's any tenant in the building, not just people who have signed it. that
Correct,
right?
because this agreement has been sent to every single tenant in the building. They all have access to it, whether they sign it or not. They can feel free to discuss it, among themselves.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a question from Colleen as well, who has raised her hand. Please go ahead.
Hi, I would like clarification on section 6, subsection 6, where it says the tenant will not challenge or pursue an appeal either directly or indirectly, or assist others in pursuing an appeal of or a challenge to any current or future development application. So I'm just wondering, what does future development application mean, and what would be an example of challenging such a thing?
So there is, if you go to the section described as the work, so it's section 3, subsection 6. Again, we're a lot of sixes. So the owner is planning to replace the existing tennis court on the west side of the building with a new 4-story building to be as an extension. And as part of that building, you guys are going to be provided with a new amenity space. It's about 380 square meters of amenity space, including a gym, a party room, a media room, a games room. There's a couple of other amenities that are being provided. I believe there's a yoga room in there as well, including at the back of the building where currently there is, landscaping and grass. There's going to be provided barbecues and benches and tables where people can study or have friends over and so on. So this is the new development, what the owner would like to create. So that clause refers to that particular project and to that scope of work that, tenants, if you agree, you basically agree to let that project proceed. So this is what that clause is. Based on the compensation, you agree that with that compensation, you will not do anything to stop the application, and you agree to the new building being built. Again, it is only a 4-story building, so we're not talking about some kind of a high rise. And again, with that, you're going to get a great amenity space that will be for both buildings and will be available to everybody's use.
So by future, you mean everything that's listed under quote unquote the work?
Correct.
And then what would an example of challenging this work be?
I will have to get back to you, but again, it could include quite a few things, including going to the city councilors, media, etc.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Vlad, go ahead.
Randy explained something to me. The heating units actually do work, but they have to manually adjust it through a little hole in them. Randy assures me that eventually there will be thermostats that will do this job. But at this point, the heaters cannot be controlled by the tenants. They have to be controlled by Randy, for example, because it takes a screwdriver to adjust the heat. And the heating unit that I have that has been cold all along had now shown some heat. So that the heating units function, there's just no control over them by the tenants at this point until a thermostat is installed. Thank you.
So Vlad, as I said, we will get back to you regarding the full controls, how they work and so on. In the meantime, as we said, if you're getting insufficient heat, please get Tanya involved and get the management involved. And as you see, Randy will come as soon as possible, or Dan, or whomever is available, and they will adjust it as necessary to make sure that everybody's comfortable. Unfortunately, these are brand new heaters, so they have not been adjusted correctly. So it might take, for some units, they have been adjusted to be to serve most people. Unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier to Janice, there's people with different orientation. There's people with different preference as far as their temperature, and based on the orientation of their unit and how much sun they get. Some people will be a little bit hot. Some people may be a little bit cold. This is why it may take some adjustment to some tenants. Again, just let Tanya know, and they will address it right away. You will not be left without heat.
And the temperature, of course, is going to have an effect on it.
Correct. So based on the temperature, if you're not satisfied, you can always let the management know. Okay, anybody, any other questions, any concerns? Again, going with the agreement, existing construction, to focus on that, because as I said, the deadline is tonight. So anything that you feel that you need answered, please let us know. So there is one question from Fiona. So Fiona is asking, just wanted to confirm that signing the agreement does not remove our rights from the Landlord Tenancies Act. What projects are coming up from the building that we need to know about? So this is these are two questions. So beginning with the first, that is correct. All of your rights as described in the Landlord Tenants Act, including reasonable enjoyment of your unit, including working hours, including access to your units, including notices for if access to your unit is necessary, if there will be any shutdowns, and so on. So everything that's described in the Tenancies Act, including heat, sufficient heat within certain dates, access to water, warm water, etc. Everything that is described is your legal right, and it will continue to be so despite signing the agreement. So that will not have an effect. You're not signing any of your legal rights. As I said, work is being done legally within our legal rights as well, and this is all that that refers to. The second question is, what other projects are coming up for the building that we need to know about? So Fiona, going back to the legal agreement that was sent to you approximately 2 weeks ago, if you refer to section 3, there is 8 points that are being described there. I can go through them quickly. So one is closure and loss and use of parking garage. So this is referring to the garage restoration work. It includes restoration of the parking garage, number 2. Number 3, replacement of the windows in each unit. Number 4 is renovation of the corridors and the amenity space and other common areas in the building. So the corridors and everything else is planned to be refreshed. There's also installation of new landscaping at the residential complex. As I mentioned earlier, there is going to be a private park. When I say private, it is private to the residents of 33 Isabella. So there is going to be a private park with barbecue tables, benches, etc. So that will be created at the back of the building. So that is the landscaping. Number 6 is the construction of the new building that I mentioned on the west side of the existing building where the current tenants court resides, which will include the amenity space that I went into more detail earlier. It's going to include a new construction of a new fire route and a new garbage pickup area. As you now know, all of the garbage is currently sitting outside and it's a bit of an eyesore. So there's going to be a design feature that kind of hides that and has a little bit better access for the garbage truck, a little bit of a turnaround area, which will be constructed in the front of the building. So that is item number 7. And then item number 8 is any work that is related to the previous 7 items. So that is the work that is being described and that is included in this agreement. And if there's anything else that that has to be done, it is outside of this agreement and is not applicable. So these are the projects that are coming up that have been planned. As discussed with Wade earlier, for a lot of this work, we are unable to provide you a start or a finish date currently, but all of these have been applied for permits, and based on the issuance of the permits, that work is going to begin accordingly. So a follow-up question from Janice is, what does hallway refresh mean? I will have to get back to you on the complete scope of work, but it's going to be light replacement, painting of walls, carpet replacement. So it's just going to be bringing the building up to date, because you're going to have the amenity space downstairs, you're going to have the nice park and so on. It's not going to be inside of your unit. It's just going to be the hallway, and restoring that and making it a little bit more up to date, because it hasn't been done in over 30 years, as far as I understand. Don't quote me on the exact dates, but it has been a long time since that has been completed. So that would include the refresh of the hallways and common areas, including staircases and so on. It's just going to be a refresh. Okay, I hope that answered your questions. Is there anybody else that would like to ask anything? Okay, if there is no questions, if there is nothing else that anybody can think of at this time, you can always email the management with anything that you may have. So I'm just going to hand off to Madonna, who I think would like to address everybody as well, and based on that we can we can enjoy our evening and go from there. Madonna, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I just want to thank everybody for attending this afternoon's meeting. I know everybody's busy, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend the meeting. I hope everybody questions were answered. If there's anyone who have any questions which they didn't think of or they didn't get a chance to ask, feel free to contact myself or management for an answer. And I want to apologize for being a little late this afternoon, but I had a tenant situation I had to deal with. So sorry that I was late to attend the meeting. Hope everyone have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Madonna. Janice, you seem to still have your hand up. Is there anything that you would like to ask?
Sort of. I also wanted to thank all of you for coming. And I wanted to ask whether there's a possibility of having these on a more regular basis. If we could do this once a month, I think we could iron out our communication situation and have a much better situation going forward.
Yes, as we're going to try and have these meetings, we don't want to promise on what basis, but as work progresses, we're going to do this every couple of weeks. Based on necessity, we'll try to provide you at least a week's notice, and we'll try to keep you posted as far as the construction goes, as far as any comments, any complaints the tenants may have. And as permits are being issued and work is progressing, we will be able to keep you updated on tentative completion dates as well. So we do plan on having these from time to time. We're not going to set a particular date because, as mentioned earlier, a lot of the work, there's still a few unknowns based on when permits are issued and the work can begin. However, we'll try to have these every couple of weeks and answer any questions that people may have.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay, well, if there's no more questions, again, thank you very much.
Sorry, Dimitar, one quick second. And I see Wade is still on the call. If you could forward me the email you were referring to earlier, Wade, and I will try and answer at my earliest convenience.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Enjoy your evening. As mentioned earlier, if you think of anything that you would like to ask once this meeting has ended, please feel free to do so. You can always email or call Tanya, or alternatively, you can talk to your tenants association and they can address us, and we'll do our best to get back to you quickly. And we'll try and get back to you on the couple of things that we discussed today that we said that we will get back to you by Friday. We will do our best to do so. And as mentioned earlier, heating is a very serious thing. So if anybody has any issues with their heat, both being too high or too low, please let management know and they will take care of it right away. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.